Last month, me and my friends went over to RPM Raceway. It was a lot of fun and we had a great time with each other. But, personally, I felt a little bit unsatisfied. And honestly, some of my friends did as well. I felt unsatisfied because I was not happy with only getting third place in one of the races. I wanted to win a race, and to win a race at RPM Raceway, you need to get the fastest possible time. My friend Matthew was unsatisfied because he forgot to put on his seatbelt, so he was driving way slower than he thought he actually could. So he said to me, let's go back to RPM Raceway. All I need to do is put on my seatbelt, and I think I could maybe beat you. And my friend Sebastian genuinely thought he could beat me because, I don't know, he just didn't know how to drive the carts last time, so he's locked in this time. And Gregory from last time was just unfortunately not available this weekend. So we got a new friend of mine, Matthew Kershaw, to come over here and go with us to RPM Raceway. This is the story of how me and my friends went over to run it back at RPM Raceway, and today I'll show you the results we all got. Now, you see, before we could start actually racing though, we had to do a few things first. We had to wait over an hour for our race to start because when we said, okay, we want to race at 2:30, they were like, oh yeah, no, by the way, so the next 6 races are like fully booked, so like you guys gotta wait like an hour and 30 minutes, and I was just like, bro, are we serious? But on the flip side, we did get cards so we could go play in the arcade. And before we got said cards, I decided to do a quick interview of one Matthew K specifically, how he thought he would do in today's race, and he responded with this.
So other Matt, how do you feel about today's race? How do you think you're going to do?
I think I'm going to beat CJ, and I'm going to win.
Well, who's not going to beat CJ? I know this is a point five.
Well, after that very interesting interview, we had decided to go into the arcade. It's our gambling!
Aw, dang it.
And also, there was some very intense competition between us.
Scores 4-1, everybody.
Oh! So it's game point for CJ. CJ could win, but Sebastian also is not out of it.
Afterwards, we were all lined up in our go-karts and got set up for the first race. As we were all lined up, our karts were allowed to go on the track. Ahead of me was Matthew K and Matthew R. Matthew R was the one that was in the previous RPM video, okay? And Matthew K is the new Matthew that is here. So, as we start, we're in the same pit lane that I was in last time, and we're just slowly cruising through here, just slowly getting ready for the race. Next thing we would do is that we would do basically like a formation lap of sorts. We would do a lap like slowed down, and we would just go around the track slowly and get used to the layout of the track. This was mainly for Matthew K, as most of the people in our friend group actually knew what we were doing. And when I say most, I mean everyone but Matthew K. But that's okay. As we reach the end of our formation lap, our karts are set to full speed, and I immediately charge past Matthew K, as you see here, and now I'm trying to catch up to Matthew R, who is ahead of me in number 35. As we go down the down ramp here, we find ourselves in an interesting situation, where a crash has happened. I take advantage of this and breeze past Matthew and the guy who crashed, and now I'm following the guy who is number 46. I then proceed to swoop around the outside of this guy, going very fast, and then I go around the turn that used to be called the bane of my existence, but now I've gotten used to this turn. A bit later, I found cart 51, I believe, and I charge past whoever was in that cart, and I proceed to continue my race. A bit later, though, I would find Matthew K in cart 54. I would go around the outside of him, which would become the inside line, and I continued driving to see who was next. A bit later, I would find myself behind cart 51, and when we went down the down ramp here, we would find Matthew, who had spun into the barriers, and cart 51 took the racing line in which Matthew was not there. And Matthew went on my racing line before I could actually hit the brakes or switch any racing line, or to any other racing line. So unfortunately I hit him, and sorry about that, Matt. Anyway, let's continue the race. Catch up to the back cart 54, who I believe is Matthew K, who drives a bit slower than I expected as I try to go on the inside of him, and he slows down while I speed up, and I accidentally hit the back of him, which is rather annoying. I feel like I just got brake checked. I try to go on the outside of him, but he has the inside line, and now he's actually using the acceleration. So now I have to fall behind Matthew K, and I have to find another way to get past him. The opportunity to get past Matthew K would appear on the same up ramp again that I got brake checked on as I go around the outside, accelerating while Matthew brakes, and I look down and I see a massive car pile up down there. I genuinely don't know what could have possibly happened there. As I come down the down ramp one final time and take one turn to the right, I realize the gate has been opened, marking the end of the first session. I would later on learn that I came second and got the second fastest lap, while my dad got the fastest lap, which is good for him. Good job. If you're wondering what each of us got in this first session, in the first session my dad got first, I got second, Sebastian got third in our group but 5th overall, Matthew R got 7th overall but 4th in our group, and Matthew K got 8th overall and last place in our group. Same guy who said this, by the way.
I think I'm gonna beat CJ, and I'm gonna win.
Well, who's not gonna beat CJ? I know this is a point five.
Moving on from that, I need to tell you guys, or at least show you guys, one more thing before we move on to the second race.
Make sure to like and subscribe.
Not long after our first session, our order was simply rearranged before being put into our next session, session 2. I was put 4th in the order instead of 5th, but I was still again behind Matthew Kershaw and Matthew R. So I have to get through those two. Once again, we did the formation lap as usual, and I tried to pass Matthew K on the outside, but of course, all of our cars are on the same speed, so obviously that's not gonna work. But then, unexpectedly, our cars are set to full speed before we do one full formation lap. It was just like one turn. But anyway, we're set to full speed, and I go past Matthew K, and now I'm following behind Matthew R. The Matthew that was here the previous time we went to RPM Raceway. Now, this was my first time actually having to pass Matthew R without having to use a safety car, or safety flag. I try to pass Matthew on the inside here, but he shuts me off right before I can, like, perform the overtake. I don't have enough speed, and I'm not close enough to Matthew to overtake him here on the inside line, so we go on the up ramp, and I just overtake him on the outside like I did last time we went to RPM. Crazy work. Skipping to a few minutes ahead, I find myself behind cart 48, who I attempted to pass on the inside here, but I am unable to do so. So we go on the turn formerly known as the Bane of my existence, and I perform it perfectly. I then once again go on the outside on the up ramp here to get past number 48. I don't know why the outside line over here on this turn is just so weird. I don't know why. Then I find myself behind, I believe, yes, that is cart 51, and the 3 cars in front of me are very close to each other. So I pass cart 51 on the inside, and then I pass the car in front of me again, and then cart 35, I pass on the inside as well. 3 carts all passed at once. I think that was a good job on my part. A bit later, I find myself behind cart 39. Again, I believe this is Matthew. He takes the middle of the track, so I'm unable to get by him. So I have to find another way to get by. I look to the outside, not enough room. I try to look for a switchback. Again, not enough room on the track. And plus, this is an awkward spot to do a switchback. And I'm not able to perform an overtake over here. Still not enough room. And we continue through the chicane here. And I look to the outside again, trying to overtake. Unable to do so. But then I charge on the inside here. And pass number 39, which I believe is Matthew once again. And then I accidentally overshoot it, get a snap of oversteer, and go into the wall. I find myself behind cart 48 again, who I believe is Matthew Kershaw. Pass him in the same way I did Matthew earlier, on the inside before going into the hairpin. And we go on from there. I find myself behind Sebastian in cart 55. And Sebastian here truly shows just how much he improved by cutting me off on the inside so I can't pull off the same move again. And he keeps cutting me off on the inside, but he opens up the outside a bit too much.
We're heading into the wall at high speed!
Yeah, I was going to overtake him cleanly on the inside, but then he smashed into me. But I still got the overtake done and pushed ahead of Sebastian. As I head down the down ramp, I realize the gate has opened, and we go inside the pit lane, ending our second session. Man, that was quite the interesting session. I wonder what result I got.
Ah, yes! What an unbelievable race, guys. You know what that is? Simply lovely. I tell you that.